This episode of Super Pulp Science is brought to you by our upcoming adventures at the San Diego Comic-Con. You can come to the Chasing Artwork booth at 1303, and just down the aisle you can find in small press Stranger Fiction, where Jonathan Ball and GMB Kamichuk will be there to sign copies of The Eye Collector and other books from Stranger Fiction. We'll also be doing a bunch of Image Comics panels, the first and maybe only time we'll ever get a chance to do that, so you should come and see them at San Diego Comic-Con.
Attention, citizens. It's time for Super Pulp Science.
This is Super Pulp Science, where we talk about how genre gets made. I am here with my long-suffering co-host, Justin Curry. He's known the world over as Chasing Artwork, and producer extraordinaire, Dan Vadeboncoeur. If you are new to the podcast, and by the way, if you're new to the podcast, it's probably because of The Eye Collector, and we really appreciate you. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll talk about more of that in a second, but we are two working writer, illustrator, creatives who share all of our secrets. That's basically what goes on Super Pulp Science. All genres are made in absentia. You're decided later what a genre is, and it's only those of us who are making stuff now that will define those genres in the future. So here we are making stuff, and we are doing a follow-up episode to the Montreal Comic-Con. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
What a great show.
It was like 3 days ago. Just
3 days ago. It just happened. And I usually rely upon you, Dan, to pull something we've said to name our episodes. That's where the great names comes. But this time, we know what it's called. This episode of Super Pulp Science must be called Leg Day. Do you agree?
That sounds appropriate.
That sounds appropriate. If you stay on the 14th floor, what are you used to using to get there?
An elevator.
An elevator. We did not have that luxury for the first while. There was something wrong with the elevator, and so we would take 14 floors.
Which is actually 13, because the 13th floor doesn't exist.
Of course it doesn't.
So in this superstitious building, we would get... But the first time it happened, it actually felt like a magic trick, because we're going up 14 floors. We are on the 7th floor here, and we often take the stairs. So it was like, oh, it's just twice going to work. We can handle this. But about 10, floor 10, it was that scene from Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Where it's like, tell me when we get to 18, I'm going to throw up. It was that feeling. And Justin's like, no, you can do it. Just one more, just one more. And then suddenly we were there. And we hadn't done the calculation that from 12, suddenly we're at 14. And it was like I had hallucinated. I thought maybe I had passed out from the effort, but I had suddenly arrived. It wasn't until the third or fourth time we took those stairs we realized there's one for free. You get a free one, right? Just to lighten the load. We passed this group of old ladies at one point who were also taking the stairs at around the 9th floor. And we said, oh man, I hope you're doing okay. And one of them said, it's okay. There's gin where we're going.
Almost home.
Yeah, we're almost home.
And then the elevator was working again, and we thought, oh, we're done with that, until Saturday night when some ne'er-do-well decided to pull a fire alarm in the lobby.
So at 5 a.m., 14 floors again.
Oh, no.
It was either that or wait 20 minutes to use an elevator, and
That's right.
we're strong, strapping young men. So.
Yeah. As long as we're talking about our building, the accoutrements of where we stayed were fine, but the lobby area also seemed to be a hot storage locker for 10-pound tubes of ground turkey.
Well, what we think happened is somebody brought home groceries, saw that they had to lug them all up, and decided to leave. Yeah,
Just abandon a bunch of stuff.
10 full pounds of raw meat in the lobby.
Yeah, or maybe it was like a delivery guy who was like, "There is no way on earth I'm doing it."
Or maybe
but
they're
it was
making
there
trips.
for days.
Oh, days.
It
Okay.
was days.
Yeah.
We kept checking on it
Oh, no.
Yeah,
as it expanded in the heat.
that was fun.
Yeah. And then the fire alarm went off. So I don't know if ground turkey can cause a fire alarm to go off, but that's my suspicion. This prompted Justin to suggest one of the things we should talk about, thought it would fit around, talk about for the show are the hidden costs, the unexpected costs that go into travel when you are on a book tour or on a convention tour or you're booked to go somewhere, that there are not just the financial costs, but there are also the physical costs, the emotional costs that pair up with the financial costs. And this show had a whole bunch of hidden costs. You want to discuss some of them that come to mind? Like the internet?
So, yeah. For example, in Montreal, like there's some conventions we do where doesn't matter the size of your space, they only give you one table. So if you have a 16 by 8, you only have one table there. And you have to rent the other table. Some convention centers don't give you any tables at all.
Some give you more than you need, plus chairs.
Yeah, some don't give you chairs. You have to rent chairs.
Yeah. Some give you tablecloths but no tables. Some give you tables but no tablecloths. It's like, and there's no rhyme or reason.
San Diego gives you free electricity. Every other convention, you have to buy electricity.
Oh, man.
And it's very expensive to do.
Sure.
Like, and it depends what you need. One time I tried to get a high chair. You can see a previous episode of Calgary Comic-Con about this. Tried to get a high chair, and it would have been $450 to rent a chair to sit down on at the show for those days.
It was absolutely silly. And
so
then
we brought one from outside.
Montreal, the fun thing about that convention center, it is a black hole for cell phone signals and Wi-Fi.
And by fun, he means terrible for vendors.
Anybody who's trying to use the point of sale device attached to their phone immediately hits a brick wall the second that place floods with people who are all trying to use their phones. And most conventions is not a problem. Like you can get a bit of signal in and out. And our card reading system needs like nothing, like kilobytes, like just a tiny little bit of signal.
You've looked into it.
We've looked into it carefully.
We've gone
This
through
is
it.
our
We've
business,
existed through, like we've struggled with this.
And so the difference between a 30-second interaction with a point of sale moment can become a 15-minute slow bar, tense. It's like showing you the percentages only to fail at the end. And this was happening en masse.
It's just like, it's kind of awkward because it's at the end of the interaction, right? We've had our chit chat about our fandoms or like the artwork, and it's like, okay, now goodbye. And then we just have to sit there and watch this spinning wheel try to find the signal.
It's like the great wedge of capitalism dividing you every second that bar is taking. And so the
options are
you can pre-book internet for like $75 or something, which seems expensive if you already have cell. So if you're traveling to shows, it seems like a hidden fee that you don't have to pay. If you've been to Toronto, which is you're 2 stories underground, and there's no problem with your cell phone,
or
why would
Winnipeg,
Montreal
where
be
it's
in?
the telecenter where there's free Wi-Fi because
that's right.
it's provided.
So it wouldn't come up for a lot of people. But if you booked it ahead, it was $75. Not a lot, but not, it's a little more. If, however,
for 3 days of internet, that sounds like a lot of money.
If you happen to be there on the day like I did, it was like, well, I guess I'll buy the internet. It's only $75. No, they raised it to $200. The venue did.
Holy cow!
On the day for those 3 days of internet,
and only for 2 days for you because you struggled.
It was the end of the first day. I struggled through. Justin helped me out by giving him one of his phones that was connected properly because he had pre-bought, and so there was this whole moment. I will say though, I wanted to be Matt, but the man who came to set up my internet was so almost poisonously pleasant. Like he left and I felt his goodness spreading. Like he was so nice to deal with that I suddenly was like, I should be mad at you, but you're just so great. I don't want to be mad. And it turned the next 10 interactions back to normal. And then I forgot about the fee and I started suggesting to anyone who had cash that they might as well use mine because it's tethered and save your cash for the other people who are suffering.
That's the other thing. A lot of the attendees who have been doing this show for years have heard this speech so many times, like, I can't take your card right now. The internet is not working. And so they've been kind of trained to bring cash because card readers are barely a thing. There's a conspiracy theory. The convention center has jammers to force people to use the ATMs, which I'm sure the fees are higher than usual.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. And for the vendors to be forced to buy their very expensive internet.
On the Friday when I finally got mine, I happened to see the guy's list of passwords, like not the actual passwords, but the number of people who had been issued passwords, it was like in the low dozen, maybe 18 people total. So like it's not really the cash grab you think it is on that scale.
Well, do they need to more than double the price though? That's a bit much.
I think that's evil. Yes.
Right?
The
There's no need to raise the price of it. It should be the same no matter what.
But is the idea that if it's too affordable, too many people will get it, and then it'll be as terrible,
And then it won't work.
and
Yeah.
then it won't work?
I don't know.
Everything under control?
Got to move all these people out of here.
Oh, now, just how bad is it?
It's a fire, mister, and all fires are bad.
Well, I don't believe that you're familiar with the many modern safety systems we have designed into this building. We've got them all.
My legs were burning. My internet was failing, right? But it sort of worked out. It sort of worked out in the end. One thing, speaking of burning, also Montreal Comic Con had 2 actual fires break out during the course of the convention, based on, what was it? You heard the cause. Battery packs?
Yeah, the like those big battery chargers. And again, because I wonder if it's the little ones for your phones. We don't know the full story, so this is all hearsay. This is all
This is
rumors.
third party. We did know the fires were real. We heard that from people who do know, who would know because they had to deal with it. But we don't know the causes.
But people who want electricity at their booth but don't want to pay the, I think it's $175, $200 to buy electricity for your booth, they'll bring those huge like battery packs from like Canadian Tire to, like, you know, charge your car kind of thing with a plug-in, and have those at their booths running all weekend, and like lug it home and charge it and bring it again. Yeah.
And now I know nothing. This is all hearsay, but I do know that there's a big difference between the one you might get from Canadian Tire and the one you might have ordered from Amazon.
Yeah.
And
Alibaba.
and the ones that are going to be more likely to catch fire in the middle of your convention are the
So-
ones you paid no money for.
Yeah, I imagine there's going to be some rule change. If there was 2 this weekend, and if that's something that we're going to have,
I think
more
they will
of,
be banned from shows.
Yeah.
I think
That is
what-
the cause, yeah.
That is,
Mhm.
likely the cause. I mean, a lot of shows, for a brief time in the heyday of shows, they would bring a fire marshal who would check to see what your back stand was made of.
paper.
Right. Yeah. And then for a lot of people, it was paper. So this was not, the fire marshals had their work cut out for them, let's say.
On some shows, you have to prove that you have insurance for your business. So liability insurance. If your booth falls over and crushes a family,
Yeah, that's right.
the convention doesn't want to be responsible.
Yeah.
So
Really?
yeah, so some like
Really?
Well, in my experience of the convention, that's their job, is to have that insurance in place, right?
I thought so as well, but
Yeah.
there's a number of conventions that are now wanting you to have insurance.
Your own insurance,
Oh,
so they
wow.
can blame you first, and then they're the second tier, right?
Or another one, we're going to San Diego Comic-Con, which makes you go to the California government website and get a temporary seller's permit to have a booth in San Diego, which is a huge, I've gotten past it, but the first couple of years of San Diego, I was so stressed out about navigating the California tax website.
I've never
because
seen
it's
a more
labyrinth.
Byzantine website. Yeah,
Jonathan had to go through for the first time this year, and it was like flashbacks to a horrible time in my life. He struggled.
The total number of superlatives exceeded our daily allotment while we were going through that website. So this brings me then also to, if you're new to traveling to shows, there is that thing, that emotional cost. You have all these worries. You hear us make this list and you go, oh, which of these things will go wrong? And it's a uncertain number of them that are sure to go wrong every time. And so you kind of just have to be open to that. And that's not an easy place emotionally to be in, right? Especially if suddenly the traffic of the show and the content of the stuff you brought also isn't working. So now you have all these other things to blame, as you know, like it can just be a real hotbed. So
Do you have like an example of that? Of like, did you miss pack for a show you thought for sure this kind of booth is going to do well at a show, and it was, oh no, I should have brought my
I've
books. Everybody wanted my
witnessed it
books.
with a neighbor. I've witnessed it with the neighbor show where literally they had traveled a long distance, they opened up and they had packed for a different show. They had, like, you know, the bins,
Mhm.
right, are separate. They come totally loose, the lids from the bin. So they were labeled for the cities of the show, but they had put the wrong bin tops on their pre-prepared inventory and opened it up to find different than they thought. I'm sure they were going to do fine, but different than they thought. And so it just throws the whole thing off, like the plan you thought you were working, that
Well,
can
it
be a
sounds
lot.
like they were pre-prepared, like they had multiple cities planned
Yeah.
out, and
Yeah, now it's all messed up. And then you can have what happens sometimes in what I would call, there are no shadows around chasing artwork because his light setup is so bright.
I
But
have lights
in
now.
the shadow of chasing artwork, you can see a moment where people wonder that if you are expecting your inline table to be just like yours, 6 or 8 feet, and suddenly it's 4 feet of a huge ziggurat that's going to have a dedicated fan base, there's a moment of terror where people wonder, am I going to be overshadowed by this crowd? But I think what's great about your crowd and my crowd is that they are interested in a lot of different elements of fandom. So really all it is more traffic, and if the people embrace the idea that there's more traffic, it can work out great. I actually loved it. I was beside Justin and he would constantly plug the aisle up with browsers. It would just be jammed. And so sometimes people would get to the aisle and have no choice but to swing right past me. Yeah, and taking their time because they're wondering, will it open up or will it whatever. And if you're passive in your sales approach, like you're just literally letting people see it, that's all you have to do, then this is a wonderful activity.
I guess we'll settle for Gregory's artwork.
That's right. You're right. It's perfect.
No.
I'll be your plan B.
No, I
right?
think what I like about like both our kind of tactics is we're both a really soft sell. Like we're not barking at people. We're not trying to like poach the crowd in front of
That's right.
everybody else's booth. We're, letting the work.
We wait till
Speak for
we're
itself.
approached.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
It has to be that like lingering look at the booth and stop. And that's when I offer them the menu. Would you like to take a look?
Yeah.
And it's okay if you don't.
Yeah. And that's very passive too, because if they take it, then they can walk away and think for themselves without being sold to, which is another, I think, a really important part of it. People just don't like being in the spotlight of another human sometimes until they're ready. So
I have noticed less carnival barking at conventions though, like because you say that's true.
yeah.
Just wait.
Yeah.
Got a couple weeks till San Diego.
Yeah, I was gonna say 3
Lanyards.
lanyards is
Yeah.
coming. Yeah, I would just let's just hold off on that.
Yeah, so at San Diego, dear listener, every badge has a cute, like a little chip in it. And what all these big companies want to do is give you something for free. And in exchange, all you have to do is tap your badge. And what that does is give them all the information that you've attached to your badge, which is your full name, your birth date, your residence, and your age, and I don't know.
Yeah, your social insurance number, your credit history, all of those things. That
Your
wouldn't be
email,
surprising.
most importantly, your email.
Your email. Yeah. Oh, I hate it. So yes, we weren't doing any of that.
Well, for a couple $100, you can rent one of the little tappers. So this is how it works. Like the sales team of San Diego phones around to booths and is like, if you want everybody's information to tap,
You got to
we'll
give
sell
them
you
something.
we'll sell you the reader for
Yeah.
the weekend.
Gross.
It costs.
We'll keep you further updated. Maybe that trend has gone away, but it was really annoying the last couple of years.
What explosion?
We can blow the tanks 2 floors above the promenade room. They hold 1 million gallons of water. That's more than enough to drown the fire.
You're crazy.
One thing also that I got to do, Andy Belanger runs Leafa Comics, which is based in Montreal. And I got invited to their after party and hung out. And there's also a video game company that shares space with them, but I didn't meet all those people. My friends Mark and Sarah are in the community there. They've moved to Montreal. And Mark does the filming for their YouTube channel, which is like interviews at their bar about all these cool comic things that they do. So I got to go hang out in this space, and man, the Montreal DIY like bootstrap art life is so rich there. There's like a lot of stuff going on in Montreal that was really impressive, and just people multidisciplinary interests, broad interests, and a much let's say more high functioning nerddom, right? With a lot of different stuff. Andy has his background, as I understand it, in a professional wrestling. He was a professional wrestler at one point. And so it was just a really interesting, wonderful space. So shout out to Lethal Comics for being good hosts to the community there. Really appreciated that. Also shout out to Sebtastic and to Totally Jurassic, Jackson of Totally Jurassic. They took us to a hidden, secret, second floor Chinese restaurant place called Amigos.
Chinese food called Amigos.
It was amazing. It was so good. And the lady who served us, the old lady who served us, we had written all our menu numbers out, and we thought it would be just a funny bit of banter to say, like, here's all the numbers. You know, you can hand them into the shop. Unless you can name them, we'll grade you as a test. She fired up. She knew every single one. It shocked me. It shocked me.
It was great.
She was so pleasant. The food was so good. But most importantly, the company was so great. I haven't had a chance to really hang out with either of those crews. So
yeah, it's usually like, I think when I started doing conventions, every single day after the convention, go out with a group of people. And as I've gotten a little bit older and the social battery seems like a little bit lesser, I like once a
Justin
show
puts his slippers on early.
Yeah.
Now. I was still up to go. It was like saying goodbye. It was like, Dad, I'm going out. I'm taking the keys. Don't wait up.
I'm on 1.5-year-old dad's
That's right.
timelines. Yeah. I wake up early.
Yeah, I forgive
Go to bed
you.
early.
I forgive you. I have teenagers now. So you just stay up worrying, but you're not allowed to say that's the reason you weren't sleeping anymore. So that was fun. I would like to also give a shout out to the person who only had a pass for 2 hours at the end of the show, which I found out later. They had come to the booth. They had been browsing for about 40 minutes, maybe 45 minutes, right near the end of the show. And they were making some selections for some artwork, and they were like really taking their time, and I was just giving them their space. And then I found out, I said, you know, are you back tomorrow? No, I actually I only had 2-hour window to come to the show. And I was just like, I felt so guilty because they had burned an hour of that time up at the show. And so when they finally made their selection and said, okay, I won't take these, but I will take these, I included them. I just secretly slid them into the print pack anyway and sent them on their way because I just felt like they had been stuck in the tar pit. You also spiffed off some kids that were looking at things. I know.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite things to do. And I like at least once a convention, I try to, there'll be a group of kids or a younger customer who, you know, they have to be, their parents are trying to teach them a budget. So, okay, you have this amount, like you can get one or you can get two, you know, like trying to be
Good parents.
Yeah, good parents and stuff.
Justin immediately undoes the parenting.
Just remember when your kids get older.
So I when I'm in that situation, I like to slip in that second piece that they wanted unbeknownst to them. So it's a nice little surprise when they get home. And yeah.
And then
create
and
a
then
customer.
all the parenting efforts have been undone. Well, no, because you've taught them to be nice, and sometimes that can be rewarded. Yeah, to be careful.
There's definitely been some rude people that got a signature that was a little scrunchier than usual.
Have you done that on purpose?
Maybe.
So, dear listeners, if you're looking at your Chasing RP signature right now,
I think I've done that once.
I want you to know that.
Where I was a little aggressive with my signature, and it was bigger than it usually. Like usually, I'm pretty like, okay, we'll do a subtle little gold signature in the corner of
not to overpower.
I don't want to overpower the. And this one guy just, rubbed me the wrong way. Some of the things he was saying. He got a really big, messy signature.
Right. Mm-hmm. He's probably proud of it because
he's probably fine with it.
Yeah, it's good.
This was years ago.
So the hidden costs cut two ways, right? You get worn down, right? There's a hidden cost of that customer side. I have this is breaking news, Dan. This is breaking news for the podcast, but not for the internet, technically speaking. I had a number of people that asked or congratulated me from the comic community in Montreal, which was a surprise. They had ordered or put iCollector on their pull list.
Nice.
And we found out just before the show that the book had sold out at the distributor level and was going back to a second printing. So issue 1 of the iCollector had a second printing, which is incredible. Issue 2
that's
is
awesome.
out. Yeah.
That's in the breaking news?
That's the breaking
news.
news.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I was almost sleeping through that one.
Yeah.
Sorry. I was distracted by my knobs.
Well, I understand. I can relate. The good knob twist. It's very satisfying. The fact of the matter is we were more surprised than anyone else that happened. So really appreciating it. But a behind the curtain bit I think is important to express is when you hear that a comic has sold out, that is at the distributor level, dear listeners. So the real customer for all comics first is the stores before it's the customers. And so if a comic sells 1,000 copies, that's to stores. And then those stores are burdened with selling it to the customers. They're buying it from the distributor, often at 60% the retail price, and then 60% off the retail price. And then that's the margin that is being played with for the store to try and make its money. So a book that is ordered heavy on issue 1 is an important piece of often not talked about data. A big issue 1 order goes to stores. Issue 2 has to be ordered before issue 1 has even arrived at stores. And so they're putting in their orders, because there's a 2-month lag, they're putting in their orders for issue 2 before issue 1 can even...
Before they even know
if it sells, right? And so then issue 1 will come in when the issue 3 solicits and 4 solicits, depending on when the exact timeline, those will come in. And so you actually don't know if your book is really a hit until the issue 4 numbers, issue 5 numbers come in.
when will you guys be there?
So we just have issue 2 arriving at stores this month.
Yeah.
Right? So we actually, even though our book is sold out of the distro level and we have very healthy numbers for issue 2,
You still don't really know
we have-
how to...
it's really important to know that while the news cycle celebrates these things, and they are amazing, who we're actually should be celebrating are the retailers, the store owners themselves. It's the stores that ordered heavy on those books, not the customers. I mean, some customers...
You haven't bought a sports car and a fancy fur coat yet?
No, oh God. In fact, when people were congratulating us, Jonathan had this really sobering way of addressing it. He said, listen, this is what happened in June. We have 12 months before we know the full numbers.
Right.
And until we know the full numbers, there is absolutely zero reason to celebrate. Because what will often happen, and this is just the way the industry works, this isn't shade on any part of it. This is just because of this lag. Often your issue 2 numbers are half what your issue 1 numbers are because the store doesn't know. So they order heavy on an issue 1, they order less because what if they're now stuck with too many books? And what can be a regular occurrence is halves of halves of halves of halves all the
There's
way
always
out to
drop
the
off,
run.
right?
Yeah,
There's always going to be drop off.
There's just that drop off. So the Image Comics in particular will ask you to list important things that speculators track. So a speculator is someone who is looking for a first appearance of a character or a first instance of a certain thing or a first artist's cover or some other thing. So you list those elements in there. So if we have some kind of lift around the issue 6 or issue 7 or issue 8, that will actually mean that readers are driving the success of the book, that people have read enough of it, that they like it, that they're along for the whole ride. So it'll actually be another 6 months before I can report that readership on the book is where it needs to be to have it finish out solid by issue 12. Isn't that a wild way to think about it?
Yeah.
Like it's totally insane.
The delay on real publishing is tough.
Architects. Yeah, it's all our fault. Now, you know there's no sure way for us to fight a fire and anything over the 7th floor. But you guys just keep building them as high as you can. Hey, are you here to take me on or the fire?
Something that there isn't a delay on is podcast statistics.
Right. Okay.
And so I thought I might share with you guys that the numbers are up quite significantly. I sent you a screenshot.
Yeah.
As far as like just more traffic to the podcast. You have an ad for this podcast in the back of the book.
Yeah, we put a little ad that says comics are dangerous, don't go alone, basically, and has like a group of Midnight City characters looking like they're ready to go on the adventure with you, and then a link to the website.
So that's working. Like it just shows you that people will, just read a comic book. Let's check out the podcast by this person who created it. But I will say that Writing the Wrong Way numbers are up significantly more.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, perfect.
Jonathan has like quadrupled your numbers as far as like
Whoa.
Jonathan.
No,
So-
I think it speaks to the ad. Maybe the ad. What does his ad say?
I'll show it to you.
Okay. I mean, I think it speaks to the ad because I think it's more clear what his podcast is about than this one. Because you can look at it and you say, oh, it's a podcast about writing. I get that.
Great bit of breakdown. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have specific numbers, but it
Wow,
is
these
significantly
perfectly
higher.
are
Look at that.
side by side.
Yeah.
as
Side by
well.
side. And his says, right, what the MFA didn't teach you, right? And it's writing the wrong way. And then ours is just a little bit vague, right? That's like, oh,
It doesn't even, well, it says Super Bowl Science Podcast, but it doesn't say, this
What
has a
it's
direct, find out more at writingthewrongway.com. So I wonder if his website traffic is up too. I'd be interested to know that.
But,
I just think
Super
it's
Pulp
interesting.
has a QR code, whereas
It
his
does.
you have to type it in.
Yeah.
Type it
wow.
in.
Curious.
So what we'll experiment with in later issues is something more direct, maybe pull quotes from the episode. What would you suggest? This is great. Dear listener,
no. Yeah,
part of
think about
what
it.
this show is about is us figuring it out as we are living it and then not pretending like we have it figured out and then telling to you how we figured it out. So this is a great example of what I think the show is best at doing. And this one shows the kind of person is in it. There's an actual photo of Jonathan.
I've heard that makes a difference.
Right.
I definitely have heard that. I don't
Yeah.
know if it's true or not, but it is in this case, I guess.
What I should do is I should recreate this exact photo.
Do a parody
and we'll
ad.
swap. Yeah, we'll do a parody ad. That is exact. Okay, hold on. I'm making a note.
I want to get you in a suit and tie and the same pose over your chair.
My wife art directed this photo
Oh,
of
yeah?
Jonathan.
Okay.
So
So
that's
really,
funny,
that yeah.
So this is
It's this one. Anyway, I just think advertising works. It renews my faith in some media and that people are just, you give them a good comic book, they're willing to check out
yeah.
the stuff at the back.
Or a comic book that is full of mystery. Here's one thing that we're worried about in the interest of full disclosure. Issue 1 of the Eye Collector takes place on the moon. It has the Apollo moon, one of the Apollo moon missions figured is a centerpiece of the episode.
Which one?
Apollo 10,
Okay.
right? Where they almost went to
Yep.
the moon. And we suggest an alternate history as to what happened as a result.
That's very timely, by the way, because they just did that.
Right?
It's cool.
Yeah. And that's not up to us.
Yeah.
Right?
You drew that comic.
Years
Years-
ago.
yeah.
It's like we were having 12 done in the can means that none of those serendipities we could have planned for, they're just happening. And as a result, space is on people's mind.
Yep.
Cosmic horror is having a resurgence right now. Weird
Hail
fantasy
Mary
is
was just
having
a really
back.
big movie.
Hail Mary. And so what we've noticed from reviewers, which is they're very good reviews, but it's terrifying to us to receive these good reviews for the following reason. Oh, it's going to be so cool. It's an astronaut horror adventure book.
Hopefully, the rest takes place
I
on the
can't
moon.
wait to see what other space missions are related to that. Dear listeners, there are no future space missions in the Eye Collector. They do return to the moon, but they have to build a evil tower to get there near the end. That's a little bit of a spoiler, but we've been done all 12 issues for a long time, so that's how it is. So expectation not meeting reality is maybe also going to be what happens in our issue 4 or 5.
But that's a part of the drop off, right? When people
Right.
see in that next issue, they're like, oh, okay, I guess there isn't any space adventure. I guess I won't buy issue 3.
Yeah, some dumb kid trying to save a friend. Friends
we
are
were
the
talking
worst.
about as well. Had you been doing this an episode at a time, like as they were coming out, it would have affected how you guys told the story
Possibly, yeah.
so much because you'd see these reviews, these negative comments, these positive comments, and that would affect where you would take the story.
Yeah,
It wouldn't be as
What
pure.
happened to Star Wars?
Justin and I were talking about this at the show. I said that I would have liked to have believed that and I have sort of had a career where I've sort of lauded that I put my artistic integrity before the reaction to an audience. But in this specific instance, I felt this urge, this like terrible beast inside me, so pleased. I was pleased that I couldn't feed it the desire to act as a result of those comments. If we had only done 4 issues or only had 6 in the can, which is typical for a thing, you could respond to the fan suggestions. You could be like, oh, they want moon monsters? I'll give you moon monsters,
Okay.
right? But in this case, I have no ability to react in any way whatsoever.
It's long done.
It's long done. So what they want has literally no bearing on what they're going to get. And I could feel that little beast inside kind of stir. And I realized I think I have to stick to this model of being done before release.
Okay.
Because I don't know if I'm strong enough.
Yeah,
yet.
no, that's fair enough. I
Right?
think that's a good thought to have, and I'm glad you realized it now instead of getting to the point where you're in that situation. So
Yeah, I don't know if I looked into the abyss and it stared back, and then it was like, actually, the water's great. Jump right in. It was not.
moon missions all day.
Yeah,
every day.
So it's been nice.
We see that in like a micro scale at conventions where people come up to the booth like, you should draw this, you should draw that. Like when it happens enough times, like, okay, maybe I should draw X.
Yeah.
And then you do, and it's usually your heart's not in it as much. You're doing it because you think that's what people want. And it never does quite as well as the stuff that you're more passionate about that you want to do.
Yeah.
So.
Everyone asks me for Alucard, which is a Castlevania character.
Oh,
Right?
yes.
It's Dracula backwards. It's Dracula's son in Castlevania. And I say, I have no Alucard, but I do have a Castlevania's original source material.
Though it's so,
right?
should.
But I say I have its original source material, Carmilla, right here, right? Which is what Castlevania is based on, that novel, not Dracula.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Right? Learn your history. That's all I have to say. And people usually say the same thing. I didn't know that. And so then I explain the roots of the two novels and Dracula's Guest. And I go on a TED Talk about how those books all interconnect and what was filed off to become Castlevania, which I think is a cool property in and of itself. But no, I didn't draw Alucard. Now get out of here. Right? But I've been tempted because I have literally heard it now 200 times. Right.
Yeah.
So,
but unless you played Castlevania and have like a
I
lot
did
of
play
connection-
Castlevania.
Oh,
I
did you?
love Castlevania, but side scroller Nintendo.
Yeah. It's like
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like what would you create from that?
And also, I've been trying to restrict my fan art portions to just stuff I do for Printed in Blood. Also.
Oh, that's good too. Yeah.
Right. And so, as a result of that, then I only have official stuff at the table, and that's been kind of good because it leads to conversations that are based in my desire for the supporting.
So the next
fandom.
time they do like a vampire themed book,
Oh, I'm in.
you're in with a Carmilla.
you
Or no,
in? And-
you're Alucard. Alucard.
I'll
That's
do it. Yeah, that's right. Well, they usually Printed in Blood, and for those of you who don't know, wonderful company. Go check them out. They do these huge retrospective art books where they'll have hundreds of pieces of art related to a thing.
From hundreds of artists.
Hundreds
It's
of
just
artists.
a charcuterie of
Oh,
visual delight.
they're so fantastic, but they're also really welcoming to new talent. So if you are a person who's drawing and likes to draw fan art and is wondering, like, how can I legitimize all this time and energy? Printed in Blood is the perfect proving ground for that. They have their own server and message board. So just look up their website. You can sign up for their message board. It doesn't cost you any money. There's no there's no hidden fees here, and they will announce what projects are coming down the pipeline and give you lots of time to then produce work for it.
Mm-hmm.
Producing the work is no guarantee that you'll be selected, but they also don't give art direction on top of the work. So you get to produce the work you want that you hope will make it into the book, send along to them, and if it gets approved, then it's in and you're allowed to produce.
I believe it's 200,
200.
but it kind of depends on the property. I think like the Netflix one for Stranger Things was a little bit different.
Yeah, a little bit different.
It's they recognize that a lot of the artists that they're like they found us at the New York Comic Con. They find a lot of their artists at Comic Cons, so they recognize giving artists the ability to make their own prints of the artwork after is a big part of the business.
Yeah, and
So-
it's really
It's good for them too.
Yeah, it's good for
It
everyone.
is, yeah.
It's the It's
Well,
one
look at
of-
that. We're talking about that.
Yeah, it's one of those perfect scenarios where literally everybody benefits: the rights holder, the publisher, the people who create the work, and you still own the copyright on your own image that you made. It's wonderful.
When you take into account the stress and load factors, the building design.
Wait a minute, just hold it. Mike, look, we've already made the decision.
That behind the scenes stuff is become more important for me to overshare on, I think, because something like quote unquote getting a book with image, people are now more than ever asking, how did it happen? How did you break in? And the short answer is one that they can't replicate. We had 12 issues of a book finished and they liked it. Right? We didn't pitch it as a pitch, and most people work from pitches.
Yep.
And so it's not apples and apples. So it's really difficult for us to say. And if we're in America, but we're talking to Americans. We also, the Eye Collector was partially funded by the Canadian government. We got a grant to develop it. Canada is good for that. And the Americans are like, wait, what? Your cosmic horror book that your government gave you a grant to develop it? Yes, they did. So not only did we not have to pay for healthcare, we also got government support on our horror books. So there's a lot of things that if you're on the outside, you think like, oh, it's all their talent, or oh, they knew someone, or we're trying to like dispel all of that and just share the real path.
I think the real thrust of getting any story made is finish some of it, at least, if not all of it. Is nobody can really believe in a project if you haven't finished it.
I think especially if your book is original. If it's clearly Castlevania meets Aliens, just a random pull, right? If it's clearly those two things mixed together, then maybe a pitch is enough. But if it's not
it's
any
only
of those
enough
things,
if you have existing work that they can also look at.
Yeah.
So what I'm getting at is if you just have an idea and nothing finished, zero chance.
Yeah, typical pitch is 6 pages and a script and a one sheet. A book like The Eye Collector, we tried that. We actually pitched Image way early with just the idea and a few pages, and they declined because it was too different. This is my opinion now.
You pitched them more than once?
More than once. Yes, we did. Even though we didn't think we should, right? Because we thought they'd already rejected it.
Right.
So like,
but
you can't.
Finished now.
But we're finished now, and we got advice from someone who knows comics a little bit more than we do. His name is Scott Snyder, and he said, this book is the kind of book should be at Image. You should send it to them. We're like, no, we can't. And then Jonathan's like, are we arguing with someone who knows that? Like, that's stupid. Let's just like, the worst they'll say is no, right?
Sure.
So I guess this is a long-winded way of saying leg day comes for us all, right? You think you know the path. You think you know how you're going to get there. But at some point, at 25 to 30 degrees in the stairwell of a narrow concrete bunker apparatus, you will be me, carrying your blue suitcase, just drenched in sweat up all those floors. And this is the same person who only moments before people thought, oh, he's made it, right? There's no making it. You're just always on the journey. You're always lugging the stuff. There's always something you didn't expect. There's always some hidden fee. And the only secret that we have seen that actually works is have finished work and show it to people, and then take it to places where you can show it to people.
Finished, not perfect.
Finished, not perfect. So we're almost finished, and this episode is far from perfect, but last thoughts,
best part,
pontifications, best part, worst part of Montreal Comic-Con.
One of my best parts I wanted to bring up was because we were traveling with pallets, all our stuff arrived with pallets, I brought a bunch of older designs kind of out of retirement and back into the portfolio. And so it was, a bunch more art than Montreal's seen in a very long time. And the amount of people who were excited about the old work and the amount of it, the mood was really great. Like all these pieces were retired, they'd stopped selling. I had just done better stuff. And like, it wasn't, I still liked them. I just needed to make room for new stuff. And so they went to the back room for 4, 5, 6 years. And now I was able to bring them back. And it's like people remembered them from before, or they were brand new to them they hadn't seen before. So the percentage of my sales that was work that I did years ago was just phenomenal and filled me with joy.
Everything old was new again.
Yeah.
All right. So what's your worst part then?
Fees.
Fees and sweaty stairs. Or the fact that every street was ripped up in the middle in Montreal, the area we were staying.
Yeah.
So you had to go like a quarter block around every intersection.
I'm going to steal. It was the 15 pounds of rotting turkey meat in the lobby of our building. That was the worst part.
That was the worst part. There were 3 of those tubes, and as they started to sag, I don't know what it's called. I forget what it's called. That thing that you see faces and everything, it started to look like a sad human face as
You
the
anthropomorphized
yeah,
the turkey.
because it had where the little nubs of the plastic were capped with metal, they became the center of its eyes as it slowly rotted and drooped into this dreary hot mess. Terrifying. That was a bad part. My best part was Ottawa readers. People who had returned from Ottawa Comic Con, a whole bunch of them returned from Ottawa, but they had an overwhelming compliment insult. They had bought Automatic Age, they had read Automatic Age and Backbone of Night, and asked if I had anything else that was like that. And I was able to say, yes, Bloodletters is like that. It's not exactly like that, but it's like that. But when I explained that Bloodletters was written with Ariel Gordon in character as letters back and forth from the front line of that future war, the comment was, that sounds way better. I can't wait to read that. So it was like, oh. And then they asked, are you going to do anything else with Ariel? As if to suggest, this sounds like a much better sort of book than the one I already read of yours. Maybe you should keep this Ariel person around.
Oh.
Yeah. So it was actually really great. When anyone returns because a story has made them want to return to that world, that was his best part.
And that's the second, like you said, people came from Edmonton to Calgary.
Yeah.
And this is like people come from Ottawa. I know they're fairly close together, but still people making the trip to go to these cons.
Yeah, making the trip. Yeah. And I've been more aware of it lately because of that show that we talked about there before. With a list, I joked when they came from the Ottawa people mentioned, I'm like, oh, did I make your list? And they actually took it out and they're like, yeah, actually you did. And they took it out. And I was listed on their thing as Weird Retro Guy.
Okay, can that be the name of this episode?
Right? Weird Retro Guy. You could subtitle it anything you'd.
All right.
If you ever need to rebrand, I think that
Weird
should
Retro
be
Guy.
Weird
Well,
Retro Guy.
because my name is hard to spell.
Yeah.
It's hard to pronounce. But it's the only one like it. And so I'm not going to denigrate the efforts of my of Anna Kamichuk traveling low those many miles across the Polish-Ukrainian border, right? To get on a ship, to come here and eke out a living just to be like, I won't use that name, right? Gonna stick to it. So I don't know if I was gonna say those 14 floors was the worst part, but they became kind of the best part. But I will say that when we went to see Supergirl, which I really liked, we got there and that theater is 5 stories tall.
Guess what? Yeah. The escalators
were not working. And so as our celebration for finishing all the work, we went to just go see a nerd movie. But there was no way to do it without first climbing 5 flights of stairs. And I did say halfway through, well, we've trained for this, Justin. We've trained for this. So this has been Super Pulp Science. Your mistakes are your teachers, and that long flight of stairs makes you stronger for the next one. This is GMB Kamichuk encouraging you to join the fight and make comics.